This is Gareth Southgate, and this is the Three Lions podcast.
Hello and welcome to the Three Lions podcast. My name is Russell Osborne and this is an independent England supporters podcast. I hope you find you well. Hope you've enjoyed the recent episodes that I've released so far this year. We began in 2022 with the first in our series of England at the World Cup, where we looked at those first tournaments and those first two that England participated in back in 1950 and 1954. And the next instalment will be coming your way very soon with a very special guest. Then we had a look at Qatar with someone who's actually been there recently, Arjun Vara. He told us all about his trip there. Both those episodes are available via your usual podcast provider if you've not caught them yet, or you can find them threelionspodcast.com. Now, on to this episode. It's an episode that I never really thought I'd do. One on men's health. But I've said before that doing this podcast, that many things have cropped up that I never thought I'd cover. So here we go with another one. And with the vast majority of listeners being male, I'm fairly sure that is the case, then I thought this would be appropriate. In fact, I can't actually take all the credit for this idea. It came from someone else. So I'd like to welcome back to the podcast, Southampton and England fan, Callum Clifton. Callum has been on the pod before. Some may remember he told us about his first England away, a certain 3-2 away win in Seville in the Nations League. And he's also part of the It's Coming Home TV crew, who you can find on YouTube. Callum, you all right, mate?
Yes, not too bad. Happy New Year. Happy New Year to everyone listening. Hope we've all had a lovely Christmas and New Year.
Yeah, indeed. Happy New Year to yourself too. Yeah, on the face of it, like, the new year, or just go back one. I know 2021, many high points for you and all of us. Obviously, the Euros, we were all celebrating England during the summer there. I know you moved into a new family home. You also welcomed a little Clifton into the world last year as well.
Yeah, certainly did. He's just turned one himself as well. So time flies.
Yeah,
well. There. Time flies. It was the first 6, 7, 8 months were it was blast after blast. Really, it was. With the Euros, it did seem that month in the summer seemed to be like the high point of anyone. I think what was going on with the run in the Euros. It was certainly what a time to be alive as an England fan.
Absolutely, yeah. Great memories and memories that we'll all cherish going forward. If for those of us that were there or watching on the TV, memories that we can pass down to generations to come. But I know that last year also had a little bit of some low points for yourself, which is kind of where the idea of this episode came about, which we'll go into a little bit more. But I don't know, maybe if you want to explain in your own words about last year.
Yeah, absolutely. So basically, it kind of started in August, where I noticed a pain in my testicular area on just a morning on the way to work, and it had happened before, about a month or so before, but it disappeared itself. So I thought nothing of it. I thought maybe I'd slept awkwardly or just was playing football and maybe did something to it. But this time it came up, and instead of waiting around for it to see if it would go away or get any worse, I just took myself off tried to get hold of the doctors, but then they couldn't. So I took myself off to the hospital just to get it checked out, thinking it would be nothing. Spoke to the missus and said, look, I'm doing this. And she went, she'll come down and meet me. Spoke nothing of it, had it assessed, and they referred me down to another hospital because the hospital where I live is only a little local one. And to cut story short, I went for assessments there. And then again, I was told it was pretty much nothing, or the lady that did it thought it was nothing. And then I was waiting in a little room just to wait, basically thinking I was going to go home and just carry on with my normal life. And the doctor came and spoke to me and said, yeah, there is something there. Looks like it could potentially be cancer. And obviously that's a massive shock to your system at the time. Something you don't expect to hear, particularly myself before being young and healthy and never really, done any of those dodgy things. Always played football or played something in my life to keep myself fit. And just, it was a bit of a shock. And then, so it required surgery in August. to have one of my testicles removed. I'm sure most of the people in like that, yourself and Block 109 were aware at the time. I let everybody know what was going on and just to tell them to basically check themselves at the time. Had the surgery, was told that I would just be observed at Bristol Hospital for a few months, and I'd go back for a catch up at the end of October. And I thought that was the end of it. And I was told at the point it was the end of it. My tumour markings went down. So it was all kind of just carried on with my normal life, carried on just with one less testicle, as you say. But then I was obviously due to go up to Bristol every 6 to 8 weeks for just checkups and blood tests just for the next 2 or 3 years, just to make sure everything was okay. And that's when they told me that the markings had gone back up and I had a bit of testicular cancer at the top left of my lung. It wasn't lung. I thought it was lung cancer, so that caused mass panic. But no, it was just testicular cancer. And they told me I needed 9 weeks of chemotherapy starting. It was literally the week after I had all, because obviously it was my fault as well. I delayed a lot of the doctor's appointments. Well, not delayed them, but trying to ignore them to carry on with work because I didn't think they were important. That's the thing I would give you advice. Just listen to whatever they're going to say, because eventually she told me on the phone. And that was obviously, hearing that on the phone, a bit blunt, was a bit like, wow. And then just a week later to be being told all this information about how you're going to lose your hair, how these side effects, how you basically can't go out for 9 weeks because of coronavirus, and how your immune system's going to be low. It's a lot to take in. Currently, as we're recording this, I've just finished my first cycle and I'm just about to go on to my second of 3. So I should be all done with the chemotherapy treatment as long as nothing delays it by mid-February. So I'm doing all right in myself. It's just, I think the boredom itself is just killing me because I'm quite an active person, as you know, Russ, and I like being at the football and I like working and stuff, but just a bit bored at the minute. But me and the family are doing well. We're just cracking on, and the support from you guys like yourself, 109, anybody, my friends, and even yesterday receiving a message, and it's like a donation to this GoFundMe page set up by one of my favourite footballers, Jack Stevens at Southampton, certainly surprised me and had me smiling all day yesterday. I've been blown away by all the support I've had so far since I started. So just an opportunity to anyone listening to say thank you.
Yeah. No, I mean, yeah, I'm seeing you here, like smiling face, looking positive is good to see. And you mentioned there, like messages that have come in. I know the England Twitter account has wished you well. Southampton have wished you well. As you say, the Southampton players are well behind you, as are all England fans in wishing you well. So yeah, that must be a real pick me up.
Oh, it is. Like, I was one of those people. People were saying to me beforehand, "Oh, we want to set up a GoFundMe page for you," and stuff like that. I was like, no, don't leave that for other people that are more in a worse situation than myself. Because in myself, apart from a couple of side effects I've had, which were not the worst, I won't delve into many details. It just leaves like a nasty taste in your mouth, and occasionally you just get like a toothache or just a headache or something. But that's literally it. But I feel like I'm fine. And then just to have it set up, someone set it up on my behalf, and then to see like those donations were going in, it's like, Jesus, it's like amazes you how much support. Even like it's just like for myself and my family to see that coming in, knowing that support's there for us. I'm not at work and my partner's not at work because obviously from the childcare situation, it's just it blows your mind. Honestly, it blows your mind how generous people can be, and it still does now. When I look at it and go, oh my God, like it's like Jesus. It's like you feel like you have to like thank them in a way, or I'm going to get you a pint next time I see you at an England game or whatever like that. I think the amount of times I've said to anyone who's going to the England games in March, I'll have a Jaeger bomb, you ain't going to be able to stand up by the time kick-off comes.
No, I don't think there's any need to go buying pints for everyone. I think probably everyone just want to shake your hand and wish you well. That's probably the main thing that people want to do. And the financial side of things there is there for you to use to do, like get to and from hospital or anything that, say, for the childcare and that sort of thing that you need. That's why people are there, happy to support you. One thing that I was just going to sort of go back to, if you don't mind.
Yeah.
You said you found like a lump on or a marking on your lung or something. Are they connected?
Yeah. So this is what kind of like frightened me at first. Basically, it's hard to explain really. When testicular cancer kind of it can happen not just in your testicles, but because obviously when you're born, everything travels down through you. If you know what I mean, it travels down through you. They found it just like, it's obviously because we're on the podcast, but it was on my left side. And she told me, said that we found a little bit of it just on your lung. And if you could have seen my face at the time, it sort of just dropped simply because I thought it was lung cancer. I thought, Jesus, I've developed another cancer in the last 3 months. But I said, is it lung cancer? And she went, no, it's still testicular cancer. Like we said, obviously, because when you're developing and when you're born and a baby, everything travels down to get into place. Something along those lines. I'm really, really bad at listening. That's why the girlfriend has to come along to make sure she gets everything in as well. But it was that's where it is this time. And that's why, and just to be on the safe side, I said, we're going to blast you with 9 weeks of chemotherapy just to make sure, obviously, it goes. And obviously she was 90, she can never be 100% sure, but she was 95% sure that it's obviously going to be curable and I'll be fine at the end of it. I'll just need another CT scan 6-7 weeks after the treatment's finished and, double check, make sure everything's okay.
Yeah. When people say check yourself, that sort of thing, where would people start? How would you recommend? Or
it's a thing that I've been told. Everyone was told in school, college, whenever I went there. But if you notice, what I'd say, if you notice anything wrong with your testicles or just any sort of pain, just go to the doctors or go to the hospital and do it. Because for the first time I did it, even they say to check when you've had a shower, when they're warm, when it's warm and stuff, and just check down there, make sure you can't feel any lumps or it or anything, which you obviously, because you know your own testicles better than anybody else does. So if you notice something wrong, then I would suggest going to the doctor. Because the first time it happened, it was, I can't remember if it was just before the Euros or in between. I think it was just before the Euros. And I had a pain down there for 3 or 4 days. I told my partner about it. She was like, I had some family members coming on the Monday before after the weekend. And I said, sir, if it's not gone by Tuesday, I'll go to the doctors. And it went. And I thought, I must have just slept awkwardly. And again, the same thing happened, but it was a lot worse. And I got up in the morning, I got dressed, and I was walking to work. When I was walking, it was painful. I said, I've got to go. So I just, without going into work, I rang and said, look, I'm going to the doctors. Well, try and get hold of the doctors, which I didn't in the end. So I went straight down to hospital, and then it went from there. So I would just say, anything out of comfort, anything out of place, don't leave it to chance. Even if, because they might even tell you, it's nothing, you've just pulled it or twisted it or whatever. But because I thought that's what I might have done, I twisted it, and it was obviously a far worse than what I thought it would initially be. Yeah.
No, it's good to know, and everyone should, take heed and listen, and after the shower. Yeah.
Literally, after the shower, simple process.
Now, well, I mean, part of the situation that you're in at the moment is the chemotherapy, and one of the side effects of chemotherapy is losing your hair, isn't it? Of which I'm looking at you now. And there you are. I mean, when I saw you last time, I've seen obviously your photos. You had you dark-haired, bushy hair.
Yeah, I had a mop of hair. But yeah, it's kind of a relief. I don't have to worry about it for a couple of months.
So, did you cut it off yourself?
So people have been, one of the main questions people have been saying to me is like, oh my God, mentally side of it, how would you cope with no hair? And it's always been something, like lockdown, I shaved a little bit, shaved my hair a bit, not as short as it was, but basically they said it'd probably be best for you to shave it when the time does come. And obviously for a couple of weeks, I was not experiencing any sort of hair loss and stuff, and just enjoying having a full beard, or because I can't grow a beard, just enjoying having facial hair and my hair. And then just after Christmas, I think some of my facial hair started, like I could easily just like get it in the hand and start, if I'm not just gentle to pulling it out. And that was the first stage of it. So that, obviously, you could see it yourself in the camera. It's a little bit patchy. It's a little bit what it is. And then I kept saying, let's shave my hair. And then my kid was away for a couple of days while my partner was at work. So he was coming back the next day, and I ran my hand through my hair, just my normal head of hair. And I got 6 or 7 hairs in my hand, long ones. I said, right, this needs to, we'll shave this now. Because for me, I could have quite happily let it fall out. But for the kid, obviously, who's jumping around, he could put my hands in my hair and he could just pull it. I said, let's shave it down to like a grade 1 or something. And now, obviously, it's going past the grade 1 where if I run my hand through, it's such a weird, only people that have ever had chemotherapy probably all can know about it is, I can run my hand through my hair and it can just, like, your hand looks like you've just been to the barber's or something, you've got like a hand of hair, like a gorilla hand. So it's I just decided to shave off, and honestly, what the main question people ask me is like, "Are you okay? Are you okay? Like, I'm fine. Like with losing hair, like it just saves me. Like I'm kind of saying it's an experience. You can say in a few years' time, I lost my hair at the time, And I'm interested to see if it comes back in a different style.
Okay.
Because I've been told there's a rare chance it could come back in a different colour. I don't think that'll happen. But it's just interested to see if it comes back in a different style or length or whatever. See what I could do with it once it's back and once I finish the treatment.
So blonde Callum comes back.
Yeah, could you imagine? That's a few questions.
Oh, nice one. I mean, you're looking good.
Look like me photo on the support on the little travel club ID. That's not you when you go and collect your photo. When you go and collect, at least there's no away games in March. I'm not going to look like me photo anytime soon.
Yeah, good point. Well, I mean, this was where the idea for this episode came about, because you dropped me a message and said, related topic idea for you. Since I'm losing my hair, best bald England players. And I looked at it and I thought, oh, yeah, it's probably, that could be all right. And then I was thinking about it more and there was, oh, yeah, it's him. And I thought, yeah, we can do something with this. And to be honest, though, I was thinking bald footballers, and immediately there was Lombardo came up in my mind. Oh, he's not English. There's Jaap Stam, who played for United, Roberto Carlos, Brazil, Zidane. I mean, obviously had a mop of hair, as did Vialli as well. But they're all bald now. But I was struggling to start with to think of bald England footballers.
I know. When I said it, I couldn't. I was trying to think of a few. The other ones kept returning in my mind. With the main one was John Joe Shelby.
Yes,
just the recognisable one.
Yeah,
it looks like Voldemort. Like, yeah, there was the recognisable. The one that was ringing around in my head was John Joe Shelby.
Well, John Joe Shelby was. I mean, he's actually sort of second on my list, and he's actually. Yes, he is bald, isn't he? But it's actually alopecia, which I mean, I've heard the phrase. I know it's sort of like he's lost his hair, but he lost it from like a young age.
Yeah, there's a lad at Southampton who represents Ireland, Will Smallbone. I think he's only 21 or 22. He's also got alopecia.
Okay.
And he lost all his hair. There was a photo of it, like clean it, and then I was watching us play Palace a couple of weeks ago, and you could see it was kind of similar to mine as at the minute. It was kind of patchy because it was growing in certain parts, but it wasn't growing in other parts. It was quite interesting to see. I thought he'd just shaved it off, and then I didn't realise until I read into the story that he'd actually got alopecia.
I mean, John Joe Shelby, as you say, looks like, was it Voldemort?
Yeah.
From Harry Potter.
That's a famous one.
It is Harry Potter, isn't it?
Yeah, I believe so. I don't watch that sort of thing, but I think it is, yeah.
and when you sort of hear the backstory about him, you kind of think, actually, it's maybe a little bit unfair, the treatment he gets from the terraces, because this is what I found out about him, that when he was a baby, he fell down a staircase, of which which is one of several childhood traumas, which he believes could have caused his alopecia. He was prescribed cream and told to sleep in a woolly hat for a month in order to combat it, but currently gave up on that because it was discomforting. Yeah, and that was sort of how it came about from when he was like a real young child.
I never knew that, but it's just, what I picked up on there, several traumas as a child. He didn't have much of a great childhood with his parents then. if he's having several traumas, but I didn't actually know that. But, I mean, I can't imagine sleeping in a woolly hat can be much comfort, like especially with your hair coming out.
No, they can be itchy at the best of times.
Yeah. I've started wearing one of them recently to go out when I go out because it's cold.
I can imagine.
They're not the most comfortable thing ever. I don't like wearing hats, but when it's cold at the minute, you've got no real choice.
Yeah. I mean, John Joe Shelby, I mean, with all due respect to him, he hard pushed to pick his best England game. I mean, 6 caps he got. Or he's had.
I'm surprised he got that many.
Yeah. I mean, he's still playing though, isn't he?
He's at where is he? Newcastle still.
Newcastle, yeah.
Yeah, Newcastle with the new management.
So he started in 2012, and his last game came in 2015. He came on as a sub for Michael Carrick against San Marino in 2012. He only played under Roy Hodgson, but he played against San Marino, Switzerland, Lithuania, Spain, and France.
Not a bad roll call, to be fair to him. Not towards the latter of that, Spain and France.
Yeah, but I've got to be honest, I don't remember a great deal about those games, I have to be honest. But yeah, I think he is probably he was the second person that came to my mind when I was thinking England footballers. But I think the first one that I thought was Bobby Charlton.
Yeah, that's an iconic one. Yeah, I'd agree with that one.
Because although he was bald and he is now, it was the comb over, wasn't it? That he had. In fact, I mean, he was clearly bald, but he had those strands of hair just wafted over the top of his head. And bless him now. I think he's got rid of the comb over now, but he's back in. It was obviously in the World Cup and before that he did have a head of hair. But old Bobby Charlton, 106 caps for him between 58 and 1970. Of course, was at one time all-time leading England goal scorer, wasn't he?
Yeah, was it? Yes, until the certain Derby County manager broke the record, which I think that's going to go in the next few years with Harry Kane as well. But that's one for another one. Yeah, but yeah, it's a record that I thought. Well, my granddad said to me, he said he thought he'd never see broken. Yeah, I'm sure a lot of people have said the same until Wayne Rooney shot. Yeah.
We'll see it broken. Yeah, I mean, for those of us that remember Wayne Rooney breaking it, we'll see Harry Kane break it, and who knows in time.
Yeah, you look at strikers coming through now at the ages like 18, 19 with a bit of talent. You think, how long before you're banging the goals up front for England, and we're singing your name in the stands. It's nice to sort of a roll call to see who can overtake who. It's quite exciting actually,
especially with the amount of games that we are playing at the moment. Last year we played, I think it was 19 games last year. Obviously, we had 7 during the Euros, but this year, 2022, with the World Cup come the end of the year, the potential to play, I'm guessing it would be another 7 games. I don't know how many it would take to get to the final off the top of my head.
It's a 7 game, the 3 group, 7 games.
Yeah,
again, same.
We've got that. We've got the Nations League qualifiers. We've got the 2 friendlies in March to look forward to. So there's plenty of games over the year and over the next few years that England will be playing for a new striker to come in and bang the goals in and potentially come across as the next all-time leading scorer.
International football isn't as sparse as it used to be when I was growing up. It's sort of a regular thing now. You expect to happen every couple of months. Obviously, it doesn't at this time of the year, but you get that break between November and March. But then it's sort of a bit unrelenting for a little bit. Yeah,
it's all good for England fans. Yeah. Oh well, we mentioned Wayne Rooney there, and it's a strange one because I don't think did he technically go bald.
It was like sort of I think I class it in the David Beckham category. David Beckham did it out of choice as well, didn't he?
Yeah.
And we all know how many different hairstyles David Beckham had. We all know the stories behind him and Sir Alex Ferguson. And the one was it? I can't remember what game it was, but he told him to get in the dressing room to shave it off or something along those lines. That was
the Mohican, I think, wasn't it? He was wearing
told him to shave it off.
Yeah.
So we all know what Beckham was like with his hair.
I think I seem to remember there was a story. He was wearing a hat or something because he knew that Ferguson wouldn't like the fact that he'd done his mohawk to his hair, and I think eventually took this hat off probably when they were getting changed before the game was about to start, and Ferguson went mad at him then, I think.
Yeah, I remember hearing the story and hearing from Beckham on a personal note on an interview once, and you think that doesn't surprise me with Fergie because he could have been an angry bloke at times.
Yeah. I'll go back to Wayne Rooney. Obviously, we mentioned Bobby Charlton there with the 49 goals he got, but Wayne Rooney, current England top goal scorer with 53. He was, I think he was going bald. It was around sort of 25, 26. He was going bald, and then
took it under. But was it sort of a receding, or was it? I don't know. He sort of took it under his belt a little bit, didn't he? I mean, if you look at him now, but I don't know if he's had something done. But
I think he did have some sort of hair transplant.
He's got to, because I think he's got to, because you look at him now, it looks like it's sort of come back a little bit. Not much, but it's sort of, I don't know, I can't remember how old the top of my head Wayne Rooney is at the minute, but obviously because he's managing Derby at the minute, and there was that photo going around social media a couple of months ago. It looked like he'd aged about 15 years.
Yeah.
I don't know if you saw it, because obviously he was quite grey at the front and his beard and stuff. I think he must have had something done. I can remember Wayne Rooney growing up having sort of losing it in that age, and then sort of semi coming back to him. So he must have had something done.
And I think, with what Derby are going through at the moment, I can imagine if he's not,
stressful.
if he's not pulling his hair out, it's certainly, he's certainly doing well to keep hold of it. All things considered, with Derby.
Yeah.
I mean, David Beckham. Yeah, I mean, I remember him having, as you say, the mohawk. He had the long hair. Then he had the cropped thing. This is a thing. Like I was looking at pictures of England footballers, and you think, okay, you're bald. You look like you've just had a close shave. Is that just cropped and trying to work out who's who? And I mean, Beckham, you look at him now, you look at his like Instagram page, he's got a full flowing locks of hair.
Yeah.
But he used to do everything to it, didn't he?
Oh, I could say, I can't remember how many different haircuts because he is probably one of my all-time favourite footballers. Because when I was growing up, David Beckham was everything to me as a kid. Like I didn't even like Man United, but it's like Real Madrid and stuff like that. Watching, because I used to watch a lot of Spanish football when I was a kid. But like you said, I was thinking of it the other day when I said the idea to us off the top of my head without doing any Googling. I was trying to think of footballers, whether they're English or just in general, that didn't have any hair. And I was thinking of names. I was thinking like Glenn Johnson came up into my head, but then I remembered he sort of had a little hair. He just chose. I think quite a lot of them choose to do it.
Yeah.
Sometimes like a style, and then they grow it back. And one of the iconic ones that one of my mates said to me when I said it to him, he said, "Oh, Ronaldo, like original Ronaldo." I said, "Well, you can't kind of. You had the little thing at the front." And I said, funny enough, I said to the missus when she was shaving, I said, "Can you leave a bit at the front?" And she went, "What do you mean?" So I showed her the photo when she was doing it. She's like, "No."
You didn't have a little triangle like Ronaldo.
I was going to try. If I remembered quickly before she'd done it, I was like, could I have got away a little bit at the front? But obviously, because that's technically bald, but it's just the little square at the front, I suppose. But that was our choice again, yeah.
Oh, I remember that. It was that. Was it just the final of, when was that? Was that 98?
I think it was the 98 World Cup, because I can remember the kit, because obviously I'm quite a football kit nerd. I remember the kit was like 98. I think it was, I remember there was all sorts going around in the final, whether he was going to play or not. Yeah. And then it comes out my haircut.
which got a lot of that. He stole a lot of the headlines just for the haircut that he had. Yeah. Yeah, here's another one. Fabian Delph. Was he? What? He was bald. I'm sure he was bald, rather than a close cut.
I'm pretty sure it was. Yeah, I can't. Yeah, now I'm thinking of him at Villa and City. I don't think he ever had any. No, I can't remember him having any hair. Yeah, I think that's a solid shout. Yeah.
So he got 20 caps for England, and I always had him down as one of like Gareth Southgate's favourites. He took a lot of stick from England fans for he doesn't do a lot or whatever, but I think he was one of these ones that Gareth knew he could rely on, either off the pitch. He knew he was like a good sort of role model within the training ground, and he knew he could rely on him on the pitch as well. I'm sure he played a lot under Gareth. He got 20 caps, but he never scored.
He was I described him as what Andros Townsend was to Roy Hodgson. Right. Everyone sometimes thinks, why is Andros Townsend in the squad? He wasn't lighting up the Premier League, but he was just, I think, reliable. And obviously, Delph was people forget. I mean, as much as people moan about it, but Delph was a flexible player, wasn't he? Because obviously he played centre mid, and he also was. I can't remember if it was Pep or someone when he went to City. It was converted into like a wing back, a left or right back, and he could play quite a lot of positions. So it's always good to have someone in the squad if a good enough quality to play for England. Who could play sort of anywhere, because we know Southgate himself likes playing players in different positions. We saw it a lot in the Nations League when you watch it on telly. Like Saka, when he first came into the team, was playing left back a lot of the time. So I think Southgate likes players with flexibility, and it's not a bad thing to have. I mean, like, he probably never set the world alight for England. He did score a goal, obviously. It wasn't, but it probably was someone good to have in the dressing room.
Yeah, Southgate actually made him captain one game for the Rooney's last game. Just going back to Wayne Rooney, his last game, Fabian Delph was captain against America.
Oh yeah, the one-off. Yeah, I remember that. Yeah. I was trying to think, which was it actually last game? I remember. You forget that we brought him back for that special charity one-off thing against the US.
Strange one, wasn't it? That game.
That was an occasion. I didn't think you read about it. I read about it. I was like, they're bringing him back for one, and then it was another game at Wembley, I suppose, to me. But it was an occasion. It was something to say you were there, I suppose. Yeah. When you tick it off, I've got the little T-shirt in my drawer from the game, like when Rooney's final and you got on the seat when you walked in. So I nabbed that before anyone else grabbed them. So
Yeah, an extra couple of caps.
Yeah, well, that's what it was at the time, I think. Yeah, for the 2018 to 20 period.
Go on. Who else have you got on your list?
There was one I was watching the other day, just funny enough, cropped up when I was watching football on Premier League years on the telly the other day. Rio Ferdinand at Leeds didn't have any hair.
Yeah, but there are pictures with him with hair. I'm sure there's pictures of Ferdinand with dreadlocks.
Yeah, I was watching, I think it was 2000, 2001 or 102 when he signed for Leeds. And there was a couple of images of him playing. There was nothing there. It wasn't short, there was nothing there. It was like Rio. But then you look at Rio now, and like you said, he's had dreadlocks, and then at his United, he has sort of a short. Seems to have more of it now when he's on the telly. So,
yeah.
Again, whether or not he's had work done or whatever, but like the stat prime 2000 to 2005 Rio, even with dreadlocks, or he was bald, I think, from what I can remember from watching Premier League years and growing up.
Yeah, I'm thinking World Cup 2002 in Japan. He was bald then, wasn't he? And the Euros 2004 in Portugal, he certainly didn't have any hair then.
No, I can remember because I remember watching a rerun of the Euros a number of times on DVD. He doesn't have it at all.
81 caps Ferdinand achieved, 3 goals, and as you say, played for Leeds. He must have had dreadlocks when he was at West Ham. And then obviously went to Man United, crossed the border, didn't he, between Leeds and Man United, which at the time was a spicy move.
That was one you always remember reading about or seeing on the telly when you watch classic Premier League or whatever. When Rio moved, I'm sure it would get a lot of bigger reception. Well, I don't know actually, because I think the rivalry was a bit more in those early years, particularly because obviously Leeds were a better team than the regular team in the Premier League, but than they are now. Well, I beg to differ if anyone else changes that one, but I think that you just remember it. I remember my dad telling me how much of a big move it was at the time, because obviously he's a United fan.
I'm trying to think off the top of my head. Alan Smith moved between the two. Not that he's bald or anything. Between Leeds and United. I'm trying to think of anyone. Cantona is another one. Yes. Yeah.
That's one that Leeds fans. I know a couple of Leeds fans, not just through England, but I know a couple of Leeds fans through watching football down at the local club. And I mentioned his name once, and you could see the eyes burn in the back of your head from mentioning Cantona.
Rio Ferdinand, another one there. Sol Campbell, I mean, at the time, they were a pairing for England at the back. Sol Campbell, Rio Ferdinand. Sol Campbell, obviously, well, there you go. There's another player that moved across Tottenham Arsenal. And you talk to a Tottenham fan about Sol Campbell now, you'll get the same reaction if you just mention between Leeds and United about Cantona.
There's a certain song that Tottenham, I think, is about Sol Campbell. If you're a Tottenham fan, you know what I'm on about. But I've heard that ring around White Hart Lane or the new one a couple of times. So,
he had hair. He had sort of like a bulk of dark hair. And then when he moved to Arsenal, I mean, as an Arsenal fan, I've got this picture of him in my mind holding both the FA Cup and the Premier League. He's got no hair at all. And I've seen a couple of pictures of him recently. I think he done a podcast, I think, with David Seaman, and there was video of the pair of them talking, and he certainly hasn't got hair now. So I think that's gone. Sol Campbell's hair's gone.
Again, you see, unless you know him personally, or know it was said. I don't know if it's a style choice back in the early 2000s for these footballers to set the trend. But obviously, yes, I can remember. Sol Campbell was. I remember, was it in? I think one of the vivid games I remember him was the 2006 Champions League final, Arsenal Barcelona.
Yeah.
He had a really good game that day. Obviously, it's kind of like a pair of, if it was talking about Rio and Sol, it's like a pair of Judases, I suppose. For if you're a Leeds or a Tottenham fan, it's a pair. But Man United, Arsenal, so it's a legendary partnership if you're thinking about the other way around.
Yeah,
there was one name I couldn't actually remember if he was bold or not. He just literally come into my head in the last 10 minutes. It was Emil Heskey.
Emil Heskey. Do you know? I don't know if I got him on my list. I haven't got him on my list. Emil Heskey.
I've only just, in the time recording this, it's just come up into my head thinking of,
I've got this book here, England Player by Player, that I've had for a little while. It's written by Graham Betts. And I'll tell you what, I'm going to find Heskey, hopefully, Hallowell, Hendry, H-E-S it'll be, won't it? There you go. There's Emil Heskey. Emil William Ivanhoe Heskey. There you go.
A long name.
Isn't it? There you go. I'm going to, just so we're... Yeah. There he is. So the thing is with like these books, it'll tell you where he was born, his role, his career, his debut and his appearances. But he doesn't say whether like officially bald or not.
No, this is the player's got short hair. There's someone else.
I think Heskey might have been he might have been one of these ones that cropped it short.
Yeah, just a short, because it's one of those where I'm thinking of a few names and you can't remember them having a massive head of hair.
Yeah.
But I also can't remember them having it. And then you sort of, in your head, I'm thinking like players like I said, Glenn Johnson, Emil Heskey, like players like that, they've had it short.
Yeah.
Or they've had it bald, or just like a really like kind of what I've got at the minute, kind of like a really skinny layer of hair.
Yeah.
But it's like, it's probably out of choice. And then you see another photo of them with like a different sort of haircut. Heskey's one of them.
I guess we ought to say that to any players potentially listening to this, I don't mean any offence by this, it's just observations.
Or not.
Yeah. I've got this image of Heskey in my mind scoring against Germany in the 5-1, and Heskey scored, didn't he? And then there was the song 5-1, even Heskey scored, but Heskey ran away pretending to be a DJ, I think, didn't he? Put his hand to his ear and was spinning the decks.
I mean, that England-Germany game was one of the first proper... I don't remember it in person because I think I was 2 or 3, but it was one of the things my granddad had on DVD. Because I think the Mail did like a DVD or something, or one of the papers did a DVD of the game, like the highlights. I remember going around there once when I was like 7 or 8 and watching these highlights. I would watch it all the time, and I did like a report on it at school, like for something like that, about the game and the details. So it's one of the games I vividly remember because I've watched it so many times. About that thing, it was like probably one of my first proper England memories. That would be like watching that DVD, because I remember vaguely 2004 and obviously a bit more 2006 World Cup. But one of the proper things was like the team sticks in my head because I watched it so many times. I watched it like every Saturday or something just to stick it on. Like, or anyone would ask, "Can we watch this?" Like, you've watched it like 300 times, but
that's certainly a game that's worth watching 300 times. Oh yeah, what a game! It's one of those ones that I know where I was when I watched it, but I wish I'd have been there.
I can imagine, yeah. I think if I was older than it would be one of the same thing.
And in fact, that was the last time that England beat Germany in Germany in a competitive game where points were at stake. Obviously, we've beaten them twice now in friendlies. We've beaten them twice in Berlin. I remember.
I think 2016 for the Euros. 2-0 down, weren't we? When Jack Butland got his injury. And and came back. When was the other one? I think was it when John Terry scored as well?
Yeah. So I think it was 2008? I went to that one. Didn't go to the one where we won 3-2. John Terry scored and Matthew Upson scored.
Yeah, it was a defensive. I remember because I remember watching something on John Terry and remembered him. So I think it was defensive masterclass that sort of day. Yeah,
2-1 we won. Annoyingly, I actually met Matthew Upson a couple of times. I've met him, and I've asked him to come on the podcast, and so far he's declined. But I'd love to speak to him about that one. Yeah, Emil Heskey. Should we go for sort of close shave, personal close cut? That one, I think.
Yeah,
for Heskey.
That's in the close cut category, not quite full. Alan Shearer is another one in it. Now I mean, obviously he's clear. You see him every week if you watch Match of the Day.
Alan Shearer's another one on my list, and he had hair on his last game that he played for England. His last game was Euro 2000 in a game that we lost to Romania. But as you say, you see him now; he's bald as a coot, as the phrase is when we see him on Match of the Day. But he certainly had hair on his debut when he scored against France, and he was a Southampton player. One of your boys.
Yeah. It was. He went. I think was it Southampton, Blackburn, Newcastle. He went. Was it? Because he won the league with Blackburn, didn't he?
Yes, I think that's fair to say. That was his only achievement, wasn't it? Winning the league with Blackburn.
Yeah, it's one of those. Shearer. I mean, I think he was just retiring or just at the end of his career when I was sort of 7 or 8. So you sort of little bits of memories about obviously hearing about him from my granddad through Southampton and whatnot. Hearing about what it was like and stuff, and then I can just remember him being Newcastle manager for a little bit, obviously to try and keep them in the league. in like 2008, 2009. That was literally probably, and then I know him more now for sadly in telly ranting about Newcastle or ranting about something.
63.
Bad to say, but I think when I was a kid, he was sort of riddled with sort of injuries when I was growing up.
Right.
Obviously, it was every other game he sort of got injured, unfortunately for Shearer. But yeah, I think because I remember that goal he scored, I think it was against Portsmouth to break the record, or Blackburn, or one of the two.
Okay.
I sort of remember him having hair in the goal he scored to break the Premier League record, or whatever the record was at the time. So it's another one of them where sort of like he was and he wasn't and he was. Yeah. You can't totally say you can remember vivid years of him being there bold, but he certainly is now. But
perhaps someone should mock up a little video of famous Alan Shearer celebrations, because it's only the one celebration where he wheels away with his hand up, but they should do it through the years. Sort of his very first goals at Southampton, which incidentally, I think he scored on his debut against Arsenal for Southampton. Correct me if I'm wrong. But they should have scoring for Southampton, wheeling away with his hand up, scoring for England, wheeling away with his hand up, Blackburn, then Newcastle. And then just you can see the receding hairline as it goes through the years.
Yeah, as the years go down, a little flicker of pictures.
But 63 caps for Shearer, 30 goals between 92 and 2000. And I think obviously the famous ones will be the Euro 96 ones, won't they?
Well, yeah, the ones that stick in your head, particularly how much they've reshown Euro 96 over obviously with the Euros this year and the documentary in lockdown and stuff. So obviously, they rebroadcasted it, didn't they, in the first lockdown on ITV? And I watched quite a lot of it, to be fair, because they put it all on with nothing else to do. But it was great. It was nice to watch. And that England team was someone else.
Yeah, that's the goal against Holland, the two he got against Holland. There was the opener against Switzerland he got. And, he scored against Germany as well, didn't he?
Yes, yeah.
In the semi-final. Yeah, Alan Shearer, I think, bald now, but wasn't when he played. And you mentioned, obviously, he was manager at one point for Newcastle. England, this is the only current England-related player I can think of at the moment. Well, he's not even a player, but manager, Lee Carsley, is the under-21 manager. He's actually played for the Republic of Ireland. So the England link is sort of tenuous other than he's under-21 manager, but he's bald as at the moment.
Yeah, I've met Lee Carsley himself actually as well. It was a random one. I was on holiday in Turkey with a mate of mine when I was like 14, and he was in this bar in Turkey, and me and my mate didn't know who he was until, we didn't vaguely know who he was until his dad, who was a big Forest fan, recognised Lee Carsley. So I've got a photo with him somewhere in my mate's phone from years ago.
Right.
Yeah. And he was definitely bold when I met him because he was a nice bloke. He was as bold as they come. Lee Carsley.
Well, there you go. You'll have to dig that photo out. That'll be one for you, especially if he...
I was going to say, I might actually message my mate and see. He said, have you got that somewhere on one of your old phones? Because I remember him taking on his, because I didn't have mine on me at the time. I think we were about 14, 15 at the time.
Well, especially if he starts to do the business for the under-21s.
No, yeah, if he becomes England, or if one day maybe he becomes England manager or whatever, you say, I met you about 20 years, whatever age I am at the time, I met you about 15, 20 years ago.
Yeah.
In this bar in Turkey.
I don't know how that would go down, a former Republic of Ireland player being England manager. I'm not sure that'd go down too well.
Yeah, I suppose that's an interesting one.
Yeah. Here's another one. Andrew Johnson, former Everton, Palace, Fulham. That I think we'd have to say is a close cut as well, but I don't think it was technically good.
I remember Andy Johnson basically for being at Everton. I remember him scoring against Liverpool a couple of times. But yeah, I just look at thinking of images in my head now, and I think he is. Yeah, I'd say it was a close run thing, as we're calling it. But
yeah, he was one of these players, wasn't he? Andy Johnson at one stage, and then he sort of transformed into Andrew Johnson, much like Andy Cole, Andrew Cole.
Yeah, the commentator change. You just get the commentator changing his mind on the commentary all the time. I remember watching that match today as a kid.
Yeah, I mean, he was a bit like John Joe Shelby. Really, he's got a bit of a forgettable England career with the greatest of respect. 8 caps, no goals, but he played under Sven and Steve McLaren. Andy Johnson. Go on. Anyone else on your list?
I'm drafting away from England internationals that have started. The ones we mentioned, like Roberto Carlos and stuff like that. Obviously, they were clear. England, it just you think of it, and it's just like it's more close. You can see them being bold, but then you can also I've got images of it. I remember Joe Cole having a short haircut at one point as well, around 2006 to 8 time. But then you look at him on telly now, and he's got something there again.
There's a couple of close cut ones here. I've got is Wes Brown. I think was a close cut. There was Stan Collimore, obviously a controversial player. 3 caps. Yeah, 3 caps. He got 0 goals. Of course, played at Forest and Villa. They actually played against Japan and Brazil there was an Umbro tournament back in '95. And he played, I think, 1 competitive game against Moldova. There was Danny Mills, everyone's favourite TV pundit.
Danny Mills, that was what Danny Mills. He was a figure.
Yeah, I mean, was he bald or was that a close one?
No, I think I'd class that as well because I'm thinking of him in my head now. Him being on the telly and being on like football. I'd say that was a bold one.
Yeah,
unless he can verify it himself. I'd go with bold on that one.
I always remember Danny Mills being done proper. I think it was by Thierry Henry, and I don't think he's ever got over that one.
That's what actually when you mentioned it. Thierry Henry, he had hair at the start of his career at Arsenal, and as he got a little bit on, you look at him now, he's a nice smooth. Like you look at it's such weird. But Thierry Henry, I didn't expect, has got like a nice smooth head when you see him on all these telly adverts and stuff, being French and elegant and whatnot.
Yeah,
he's what I think lost his hair. I remember him. He was one of my favourite strikers growing up, and I remember him having a bit there, and then he was like, as he went to Barcelona, latter stage of his career at Arsenal. Yeah,
just got shorter and shorter, and you kind of just grew accustomed to it.
Paul Robinson,
a goalkeeper.
Yeah.
Now that's interesting because I was thinking about goalkeepers, and I was trying to think. Obviously, I immediately think of like Shilton and Seaman, who've both had huge mops of hair. But now you said Paul Robinson. When he was at Spurs, it was a close cut, wasn't it? Whether it was technically,
I'm thinking. I'm more recent when I've seen him on TV or just seen him make an interview. I can't remember him having. But then, obviously, because I remember him, I think the most iconic thing for Paul Robinson was that goal he scored against Watford when he scored from.
When he
scored White Hart Lane.
Here you go. Look, I've got my book out again. William Robinson, and there he is. That looks like a close cut to me.
That's a very close cut. I can see, not remembered vaguely with England, obviously, with the incident in Croatia. You could say with Gary Neville as well? Yeah.
I was going to say that. There's the game in Croatia again in Zagreb where hit a divot, basically, didn't it?
Yeah, that wasn't. Just one popped my head through Southampton at the minute. And when he played for England, he didn't have it. I think he had hair. It was Theo Walcott.
Yeah. Theo Walcott.
He's had it so many different styles again. I know he's never fished it. I think it's another close cut, but he's always had it sort of short. And then one minute he has hairstyles, and the next minute he doesn't.
Well,
it's I think style choice.
Yeah. Well, you mentioned Southampton. Obviously, you're a Southampton fan yourself, and I don't know. Obviously, with your age, this probably predates you, but there was a player called David Armstrong. I don't know if you're aware of him.
Vaguely recognise the name. Vaguely.
Well, David Armstrong. When I've done my research, and I've literally put bald ! Here. His England career is one that I don't remember. 3 caps. He got no goals between 1980 and 1984. The poor fella was subbed off in all 3 of his games against Australia, Germany, and Wales. He played. I'm going to find a picture for you. Obviously, this doesn't work on an audio podcast, but people will have to Google him. Oh, do you know what?
People are listening to this, looking on their phone right now, looking at David.
Yeah. Do you know what? This picture they've got here in this book, he's actually got hair, but there is a picture of him. There's a picture of him playing for England. There you go. There he is.
Yeah, I can see. Yeah, it's all at the sides. I think.
Yeah. I mean, he could probably do a Bobby Charlton comb over there, couldn't he?
Use what he's got left in that.
Yeah. But there's a picture of him playing or about to play for England, where he is properly shiny, and he's wearing the old England Admiral shirt with the red and the blue along the sort of the chest panels. But other ones I picked out, there was Trevor Sinclair. He had a massive dreadlocks and then shaved it all off. Steve Stone was another one. Nicky Butt, I think he had hair, but like Shearer.
Yeah, Nicky Butt, I was going to say that earlier. I couldn't remember because I know images of him having no hair, but then again, I couldn't remember if when he was in his playing days or in his nowadays, if he has.
Yeah.
That was one I was going to say. Yeah, Nicky Butt, class of 92.
I think we've probably gone through a lot of them, which kind of, I think you've corrected me with the goalkeepers in my list, 'cause I couldn't find any with Paul Robinson. But any kind of look forward, and I'm looking at like the current team now, and Gareth as well. Gareth's got a full head of hair, and I'm thinking, who's going to be the first to go?
You've got to look. I'm trying to look at players. It's hard at the minute with England because there's not many plus 30-year-olds in the team.
It's true
because of what's going on and stuff. Like you said, this is one thing I thought about the other day. I thought, which any of them sooner we're going to notice a receding hairline in somewhat.
The only one I can think of, and as you say, because a lot of them are between 20 and 30, but the one that I've put down is probably the one that is over 30, is Carl Walker.
I could see Carl Walker, yeah.
Yeah, will he be the first one to go?
Streamlined right back with no hair, because he's so rapid.
yeah, perhaps that's why some of them do it, for streamlining purposes.
I might go out there and say Raheem Sterling, because he seems to have it short. He's had a couple of short haircuts in his time. I mean, he's had 700 different haircuts from what I remember. But
yeah,
his might go at some point. Just trying to think, because it's so hard, because like we said, there's not many elder statesmen, as you'd call it, or elder players in the England team. Bold, okay, I'm going to stick out there and say Harry Kane is going to go at some point.
Do you think?
I'm just going to stick it out there, and Harry Kane's going to go at some point.
Perhaps someone can mock up a Harry Kane bald picture.
Have a little play around, and if you listen to this, get one of those apps where you can get with no hair and see what they look like.
Yeah,
tweet it and see what they look like.
The Euro 2020 squad. Which one looks best bald?
I can't imagine something like one of them. I couldn't imagine with Jack Grealish, because he loves his hair.
Yeah, I don't think that'd go down too well, would he? I can't imagine he'd feel too good if that was to all go.
Then it's another one. Like Phil Foden likes his quite short.
Yeah, that is true. We've mentioned obviously Lombardo, Yapstam, Carlos. Any other famous one? I'll tell you one that immediately stood out, and he's not even a player. Is the referee? Is Collina?
Pierluigi Collina.
Yeah,
the scariest man in football.
He was. Yeah, when I was growing up, I probably would have been mid-20s or something. But even then, you looked at him and he just had the big wide eyes. And
he looked like, you look at a photo, you didn't know the referee, or you didn't know he looked like that person. You'd think he was on something. You'd think he'd taken something before he'd gone on the pitch. And you remember, like, there's one thing that my dad always spoke about is when she's photos. Oh, Collina, he was a proper referee.
Yeah, sort of person you wouldn't mess with, either in the high street,
an alley.
Let alone on a football pitch. You wouldn't mess with him as a referee. He had that authority, and that probably helped for his looks. Yeah,
I mean, the modern day equivalent with referee. Well, he doesn't referee anymore. Howard Webb.
I guess. Yeah, he didn't have. Yeah, he didn't have the authority. I don't think as Collina.
No, I don't think that. I don't think referees are half as scary as what Collimore. He puts the modern day referees to shame, if I'm being honest.
Yeah.
Did you mention Zidane?
Yeah, Zidane. He had hair. I remember pictures of him. I think when he played for like some French team, he might play for someone like he played for Monaco or Auxerre or someone like that. And I remember seeing some sort of pictures with him. He had sort of dark hair, but then as he grew, got older. And then famously got sent off in the 2006 World Cup. I think that was shaved short then, wasn't it?
I'm thinking of just the World Cup. The Cannavaro,
Italian captain. He picked the World Cup. Yeah, when he picked the World Cup up, there's pictures of him. He's got no hair.
he was. I don't. There's one of those again. Unless you confirm with himself, has he been told? How is it a choice or have you lost your hair? It's one of those things. It's an awkward question, isn't it? Like because we can remember all these names of players that like have had it short, but you can never confirm. Is it a choice or have you actually lost your hair? So it's kind of an awkward question to ask.
Yeah. If that is an awkward question to ask, has anyone actually asked you, like, without knowing your backstory?
So this is what I keep thinking. I went to the shop the other day. This was before I started Padgett. I had it short, and I went without my house. I couldn't find it, and no one come up to me. I'm waiting for someone to say to me and say, "Well, it'll probably be." But I think it'll probably be when I go back to work once I've finished all this.
Right.
I think because I work on a bar, so if it's sort of still short, which I think it will be, I think, but like, is it a choice? And I think I'll explain it. So I think. It's one of those I don't think people would expect to hear the answer. If you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Like that's been one thing about this is like people who know me but didn't know this is going on, and I feel obliged to explain to them why I'm not doing stuff. And then I told one lad a couple of weeks ago, and his face sort of dropped. And that's one thing I said to people. People's like, "So, mate, honestly, I don't know how to react." So I said, I say to people like that, I say, "Don't worry about it." I say, the best. Honestly, I don't want I didn't want people to sort of like be like, oh my god, so obviously I'm really sorry, I'm really trying to, it could, but people can laugh about it. Like people can like quite a lot of my mates have said, oh, you're super old, you look like this, and I like it. It's funny. It's I mean, it's not affecting me personally, but obviously I'm going to wait for the day. Like you just said, I think I'll be more asked more when I'm at work, and obviously. They've got time to explain it. I'm not ashamed. I'm not sort of ashamed to explain it all. Like I'm going to hide away from the fact because I think it's something you've got to get out there, like we said at the start of it.
Yeah, no, that's good to hear how you're coping with it, and I'm sure as people do ask, they'll understand and appreciate what you're going through or what you've been through, and and that is huge credit to you, I think, and staying strong, staying positive, and your family too.
Thank you very much. Yeah, it's that's the main thing for me is to stay for the family, and obviously my partner, bless her, she's been as solid as anything. She's been a trooper, obviously, with little man, and been a trooper for me when I haven't had the best of days, or if I've had a side effect, she's been. I can't credit her enough, considering what I put her through in the summer when I was barely in the house, making regular trips to London, which I didn't expect to be doing.
Well, you weren't the only one.
When I'm going away to these countries, like bear in mind she'd never heard of, or like when I'm telling her I'm going to go here next year or go there, she puts up with it. She's been an absolute trooper, bless her.
That's good to hear. It's good to hear. And well, I mean, hopefully, come March, we can. You'll be fit and ready you'll be match ready to come out and say hello to everyone.
I look forward to catching up with people listening. I look forward to catching up with yourself, Russell. For a nice trip. I think I've said this about 15, 20 times on Twitter and Facebook and everybody. I look forward to catching up with a pint. I just don't know when I'm going to fit it all in. We're probably going to have to be at Wembley at some point. So.
No, it's been an absolute pleasure speaking to you, Callum. Thank you very much for sharing.
Yeah, no problem at all. It's an important message to get out there. And like I said, I'm happy to share. And then also, if you've got me on Twitter, or if you know of me on Twitter or Facebook, if you've got any questions or anything you want to ask in the future or now, just feel free to drop me a message. I'm quite happy to talk about stuff. So any questions you may have about, if it's about yourself or about a friend or anything like that, or just genuinely curious, feel free to drop me a message.
Oh, that's top stuff. And yeah, take my hat off to you. Yeah, no, nice one. It's been, as I say, really been great to speak to you, and let's catch up soon.
Thank you very much, mate. Pleasure.
Huge thanks to Callum there for sharing his story. I genuinely don't know how I'd feel if I was in his position, but I would certainly take inspiration from his strength and his positivity there. Now, I know the main bulk of the conversation was a bit left of centre about bald footballers, and we intended no harm to anyone. But the important point of the conversation was about his journey, and I'm sure it may resonate with some listeners too. As guys, it is important to look after ourselves mentally, physically. If anything does feel out of place, different or wrong, Go get yourself sorted. Get yourself checked out. Better safe than sorry. Now, Callum is on Twitter, as he mentioned. Should you like to connect with him, you can find him at Callum3081. That's Callum, Callum 3081. And we did mention that there is a donation page. If you Google GoFundMe, Callum Clifton. Callum, as we've mentioned, 2 L's, Clifton, Clifton. You should find it there. Now, I hope you've enjoyed the chat and the episode. If we've forgotten anyone, if we've forgotten any bald footballers, England footballers, please do drop us a line. As you know, the podcast is on Twitter, Facebook and Instagram. You can email me, threelinespodcast@gmail.com. Or, should you want to mock up any of the current England players with no hair, please do. Or that idea with Alan Shearer, slowly receding through the years whilst celebrating. It's just a bit of fun. Thank you, as always, for listening. I'll be back with you again very soon with another in our England Manager series. As you know, we've had Walter Winterbottom, Alf Ramsey, we've had Don Revie. If you know your managers, you'll know who's coming next. And I hope you can join me for it. So until then, look after yourselves. Check yourselves. Cheers.